I believe that the killer was focused on one person in particular. Either Madison or Kaylee. Okay, so the killer, let's do it this way. The killer's energy towards Madison, and then the killer's energy towards Kaylee. Do Madison first, and then Kaylee. Killer and Madison. 8 of Swords in reverse. Just about surrendering or releasing. And then Kaylee. The Wheel of Fortune upright. It's Kaylee. It's Kaylee that he was focused on, or that he wanted to get close to, but he felt like Madison was standing in the way of it. Surviving roommates, their current energy. The Emperor and 2 of Pentacles. They made a choice that they now regret. They wish they would have stepped up and done something. I'm feeling like and this is kind of what I was feeling before as well, but I feel like the surviving roommates heard something that night and either didn't think anything of it, A, B, could have thought it was the other roommates and just, but there's something about it that, like, let's say it was them thinking it was the other roommates getting home, but they actually heard something else. It's almost like the energy from Madison is like, you knew that wasn't us. If you would have just thought about it, that it was too soon. Like, maybe they spoke to one another, like, and said, hey, I'll be home in 10 minutes. And then they heard a noise a minute later, something along those lines, for example. But it's like, and I'm not blaming them at all, okay? Obviously, they did not, this isn't something that you just think is gonna happen, okay? But at the same time, there is an element of Madison feeling like she's been let down by the surviving roommates. And I think it's because they heard something. Hold on. 8 of Wands in reverse, yeah. Okay, so that's about a delay. So it's, I feel like the roommates and the Madison and Kaylee and them, I feel like they spoke to the surviving roommates, but then the surviving roommates heard something and thought it was them, but like it couldn't have been them yet because they had, the time wouldn't have made sense. Like it's like, it's almost like Madison is saying like, it's not your fault, but if you would have thought about it for a second later, you would have recognized that that couldn't have been us because I told you when we were going to be home, or something along those lines. I want to see Madison's energy towards their surviving roommates. 9 of Wands. The 9 of Wands is like having your faith tested, or kind of like, it can be about like a final push of some sort. So in this case, it's making me think like, if you just would have almost like Madison wishes that, okay, so this is what I think, allegedly. I think that the girls spoke to the surviving roommates prior to getting home and said either where they were at currently or when they were going to be home. And then the other roommates heard a noise or heard something that was off. But like ignored it or didn't think enough about it to be like, oh, this can't be them because I just talked to them and they were there. So they couldn't be the one making the noise or something like that. It's either that or they heard the first attack of Ethan and Xana and didn't. Let me pull a card. Knight of Cups. No, I think they heard someone come in and didn't think enough about it. The Knight of Cups is like a slower moving knight. Like it's not like fast. So it's almost like, let's just say, for example, let's say that the remaining roommates got a Snapchat from Madison or Kaylee, and that Snapchat showed that they were, let's say, 10 minutes away at least. And then a minute later they heard a noise. But like it was like a snap, like it was something where it couldn't have been them making that noise because they had proof that they were somewhere else. But it's like they didn't think enough about it, or maybe they didn't look at the timestamp, maybe they, something like that. It wasn't like malicious. So while Kaylee's energy is very focused on how could this happen, Madison's looking at it from the perspective of, well, if they would have taken one more additional precautional step, this might not have happened. It's almost like it's almost like, I feel like Madison is like the kind of person who doesn't necessarily love being home by herself alone at night. So it's like from her mindset, she's almost like, if I would have heard a noise that didn't make sense, I would have at the very least reached out to be like, hey, are you home? Because I just heard this, or something along those lines. We're not going anywhere, you know. I'm gonna fight as hard as I can now. I think that they're literally gonna find fingerprints that are from the killer. Cool. Page of Cups in reverse. This is confirmation to me from Madison, because remember how I said she wishes she would have pushed a little further or looked into something a little more, and to no fault of her own. They did not know this was coming. No one could see this coming. But it's almost like she neglected her inner voice in some way. And now she is not doing that. She's going to be direct and as loud as she possibly can until this person's caught. The surviving roommates, I want one from them. Okay, so this is, it says killer may currently be in prison for another crime. I don't think that that's true. I don't think that the killer is in prison for another crime. What I do think is accurate from this card is, see how there's someone in the window? I think we're ignoring the words here, and see how there's someone in the door or a window of some sort. How I said that they heard something. This to me is confirmation of that. It's like they heard a door open when the door wasn't supposed to be opening yet. Reversed. So he's having trouble focusing and is likely has pulled back from life in some way. Like, whereas in the beginning, I feel like he was just trying to go on like normal. Now he's having a little more trouble focusing. And that could be because of the widespread attention of this case, that he's like, oh crap, like, they're not gonna let this go, which obviously they're not. But like, the King of Wands is about being bold, is about taking control back. So it seems like in the beginning, right after the murders, I would say like in the week following, he was like, okay, cool, I got away with this. They obviously don't know it's me, I'm in the clear. But now that it's still ongoing, and I think especially because the police are being so tight-lipped, the killer's like, I don't know what to think. I don't know what to do. I need to somehow get control back of my life, but I'm having trouble focusing. I'm having trouble. My mind is just in, am I going to get caught or not? Does this change of energy have anything to do with recent information that has been released? Like, is that what's making him nervous? The World. So yeah, it's like the culmination of everything coming together now that the killer's like, oh crap. Thought I got away with it, but what if they find something now? It's almost like he thought, I feel like the killer thought, if I can get away with this for a week and a half, 2 weeks, I'm in the clear. Especially because there was not a lot of information coming out at that time. But now all of a sudden, it's like this came out, that came out, this came out, and now the killer's like, oh no, like why didn't this come out earlier? Why am I getting closer to be caught now than it was in the beginning? What is the killer doing? What's he up to? The Knight of Pentacles and the High Priestess. So he's having trouble focusing, but he's trying to just continue putting effort into work or school or whatever his focus is right in life. He's trying to use that as like a mental escape almost. So like he's trying to ground himself into his current reality so that his mind isn't wandering, but it's back in the present moment, and that he's able to act normal. The High Priestess here is about, it's almost like he's like praying, like, please don't let this information lead to me. Please let something happen that makes this fall apart, because it seems like they're getting closer, but I don't obviously want that to happen. So it's almost like he's trying hard to ground himself by focusing on work or school, whatever, and at the same time is, ironically enough, like praying in whatever way he does, hoping, wishing, please don't let this information lead to me. I thought I got away with this. How is this turning into this now? He thought he got away with it. And now he's recognizing, you know, just because the police are tight-lipped doesn't mean they don't have anything, and they might be timing things for a reason. So now he's like, are they looking into me more than I believe they are, or more than I thought they were? That's kind of what I'm getting. One more. What is the killer? What is his plans for moving forward? The Hermit in reverse, isolation. He plans to just kind of lay low, pull back, not give anyone too much of an opportunity to see how he's handling this by just kind of secluding himself. And he could be saying something like, work's crazy right now, I gotta focus on work, I gotta focus on school, I gotta focus on, I don't know if they have finals right now, but something like that. Like, he's using something else as an excuse to why he's pulling back, but he's really pulling back to hide how he's handling this, how he's feeling, that he's freaking out. So this person would have been acting more like their normal selves in the first week to 2 weeks, whereas now they're slowly starting to pull back and isolate more than they were from the people who are close to them. A month from now would be the middle of January. I would say that I feel like there will be an arrest by the middle of January. So the Four of Wands is like celebration. In this case, homecoming could be the ability of the students to go back to the campus because someone has been arrested. The Empress is like birthing in in this case, someone to arrest. I have to sneeze. Excuse me. And then the Four of Swords is like rest and being able to kind of just take a breath. Peace in a way. I am feeling like by the middle of January, there will be an arrest. My next question is a very important one. Are they going to arrest the right person? Page of Swords. Seven of Pentacles in reverse. So the Page of Swords is like a messenger communication. So I feel like someone's going to talk. So maybe it's that person that they're waiting for that I previously said, or maybe it's a tip that comes in. Some kind of communication is going to stir up them looking at a specific person if they're not already. But I asked if they're going to arrest the right person, and the Seven of Pentacles in reverse makes me a little worried here. Because it's like impatience, giving up too soon, lack of long-term vision. Interesting. The page is also like wanting knowledge, being thirsty for knowledge. Queen of Wands in reverse. I would say this. I would say that I believe by the middle of January, there's going to be an arrest, or at the very least, a named suspect. But I don't really see how they would name a suspect without having an arrest after this much time. So more than likely an arrest. I do feel like this arrest is going to come through some kind of tip, interview, interrogation, something like that. I'm getting big female energy here. We have the Empress, the Page of Swords, and the Queen of Wands. And even the Four of Swords has a woman on it in this deck. And then we have the Seven of Pentacles, which is upside down. I feel like there's a woman that's going to come forward with information that leads to something. The Queen of Wands makes me feel like this person's going to come forward for some kind of more of like a selfish reason. So either they don't want to get in trouble, or maybe they slipped and said something to someone who's like, if you don't say something, I'm going to. Or it could be like some kind of interrogation or pressure put upon her. But I feel like there's going to be some kind of drama, for lack of a better word, that involves a woman that gives information or turns on someone. This might not be, so this Seven of Pentacles, it might not be that this woman gives information on the killer directly, like, hey, this is who did it, this is the proof. It may be like, hey, so-and-so knows something, but hasn't come forward. And if you talk to them, they might lead you to the person who did this. I don't know, as in the woman saying, I don't know, but I know they know, and they haven't come forward. That's kind of what I'm getting. 13th, 9th, and 22nd. So that would be, okay, so that would be the 22nd of December. The 9th and the 13th are both kind of in the middle of the month for January. So the 22nd of December, the 9th, 13th, or 22nd of January. So December 22nd or January 9, 13, or 22. Will those dates have any significance? Wheel of Fortune. Yeah. There's going to be progress, major progress on one of those dates. Major major progress on one of those dates. So December 22nd or January 9th, 13th, or 22nd. Those are the dates that we're looking. I would say give or take a day from each of them. So 21st, 22nd, 23rd, and then 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 21, 22, 23 in December and January. Those are the dates that we're looking for progress or an arrest. Or those could be the dates when this woman comes forward and then we find out later or something along those lines. But there's going to be some major progress made by or before January 23rd, 2022.
This morning, the suspect in the Idaho student murders appears in court for a This morning, the suspect in the Idaho student murders appears in court for a status conference hearing.
Brian Koberger faces 4 counts of first-degree murder and burglary charges for breaking into the house where they were found stabbed to death. Senior national correspondent Brian Enton joins us live.
Cards. I want 1 card from Kaylee and then 1 card from Maddie. So Kaylee, contamination of DNA evidence may be influencing this case. And from Maddie. Illegal activities played a role. Go in there for whatever reason was in their mind. And then the 3 of Cups, there's somebody else encountered the killer with this knife. I'm not saying it was an accomplice per se. And it may have been that he had it concealed at that time, but there is a third party. Okay, essentially what I'm saying is the killer had the knife on him, either visible or hidden, like concealed in a shirt or pants or pockets. I know it's a big knife, so maybe in a shirt or something, or maybe he was just holding it. I don't know, but from the knife's perspective, while the killer had the knife in their hand or possession, he encountered a friend or someone that he was talking to like a friend prior to the murders. I don't know how much of a role that other person played. And again, they may have not even been able to see the knife. It may have just been that he had it in the pocket and was talking to someone else with it in his pocket, and that's what we're seeing here. But the important thing to note is that when the killer had already made plans to kill, he had the weapon he was going, well, his plans weren't to kill, but his plans were to have that knife with him in case he had to, and he was okay if he had to. I guess you could put it that way. Was he expecting 4 people? No. But so he, after taking the weapon out of the car or wherever it was and saying, okay, I'm going to bring this just in case, or I'm going to bring it so I can kill him, whichever one it was at that point in his mind, while he had that weapon on him, he spoke to someone else before committing the murders. And then we have the 9 of Cups, which, just look at that picture. I told you that knife is in water. All the cups are dumping out into the, I mean, it's not this way. It's not that way, it's this way. It's the same, it's literally the same format. but it's reversed, so all the cups are spilling out. That's okay, so if someone brings a knife into a home with other people, and when they leave, they're unhappy with the result, it means that something that happened in there was not in their original plan. I believe that 2 of those people were not in the original plan, and either we're not supposed to be there, or we're not supposed to be able to be awake, or not supposed to be awake. But the killer left very not happy with how things had to go down, while still not feeling remorseful, because he brought the knife. He knew that he would either definitely or possibly or probably be using it if he's bringing it to the house, because if someone sees you with that kind of knife, by that point it's obvious what your intentions are. But the 9 of Cups, he felt disappointed in how things had happened, and he killed the people and got away with it. He definitely, to this point, he definitely got a sick pleasure out of it. What could make him feel unhappy with it? If more people got involved in it than he originally intended. If he's going in there for 1 or 2, and those other 2 people are kind of wrong place, wrong time, not supposed to be awake, not supposed to see him there. So whatever was being talked about was not like a situation between Adam and Kaylee or Maddie. There was definitely a third party involved, so they were talking about someone else, or a situation involving someone else. Like, Adam was not a main factor in whatever the situation was that they were talking about, more like a bystander. Balance in reverse and communicate in reverse. This is something that, so Maddie told Adam, so whatever Maddie told Adam is something that was about somebody else, and something that Maddie had not talked to that somebody else about. So like, whoever the conversation was referencing, Maddie had not had a conversation with that person about whatever it was that she was talking to Adam about at this time. It's likely that she was kind of waiting for the right moment to talk to the other person about this, whoever was on the receiving end of this, who this conversation was about. Kind of like maybe got close to talking about it, or just was waiting for the right moment, or was waiting for the last minute, it could be. But she felt like her message wasn't going to be well received by the other person. So it's almost like balance in reverse, communicate in reverse. It's almost like, you know, like when you say something to somebody so that they say something to somebody else, but you're not like, hey, tell them this, but like you say something so that they perhaps say to the other person, oh, I saw so-and-so and they mentioned this, and then it gets them to come talk to you. That's what this was. It was like kind of planning ahead, like, oh, if I say this to Adam, he'll go and say something to the other, almost like she wanted to tell somebody something, but knew it wasn't going to go well, so she was having somebody else break the ice, even if that didn't really pan out well. Like, let's just say, let's just use a very basic decision. Let's say she wants to quit her job and doesn't want to tell somebody about it. It wasn't that, but that's just an example that I'm giving. So it's like she didn't want to tell the other person. Actually, I don't want to use that because then it's going to look like I'm implying the parents. That's not at all what I'm doing. Let me think of a better example. Let's just say she felt hurt by something someone said, or a decision that she was going to make for herself. She didn't want to tell somebody else. So instead of just going to that person directly, she was like, oh, you know what? I know that this person kind of has a big mouth, and if I say something to him, especially if I'm drunk, he's going to think I'm just saying it because I'm drunk, but I'm actually being strategic and saying it to him so that he goes and says something to the other person that I'm kind of avoidant saying it to directly. So the other person might be like, oh, I heard this from so-and-so, but it's still a conversation starter that doesn't have to come from you. And I think that that's what she was kind of doing here. There was something she was uncomfortable or not quite knowing how to go about the conversation. So she was kind of poking the bear, so to speak, I guess. Bad example, bad word. She was kind of putting it out there so that this person would alert the other person that there was a situation that needed to be talked about. Yeah, it's like she was back and forth in her mind. Should I say it? Should I not? How should I say it? When should I say it? And she was just like, oh, you know what? I'm just going to talk to this person instead, because I know that they'll be the one to kind of get the ball rolling and say something to bring about the possibility or potential for a conversation about it. Be right back. So I do believe that this conversation was not like an issue of Maddie's. I feel like it was something about Kaylee, because it's almost like she was trying to protect her in some way. Oh. Balance upside down, communicate upside down, victory upside down, instincts right side up. Oh, okay. So something was going on with Kaylee that was making Maddie uncomfortable, and Kaylee wasn't like speaking up for herself or putting a stop to it or something like that. And it got to the point where Maddie was like, either she said, if you don't say something, I will, or maybe that's what she just thought in her mind, like I need to protect you in some way. Like Maddie's motherly instincts kicked in. And I know that everyone's going to say she was drunk, but I think that she was kind of using that to her advantage in a way that it would allow the situation to unfold. Like if she says something to a third party and that third party says something to someone else, it's getting the ball rolling on being able to kind of address whatever situation it was that was going on with Kaylee. So something was going on with Kaylee. Maddie had said something about it to Adam because she felt like Kaylee was like hesitant to say something or too uncomfortable to say something along those lines. But it's something about communicate, instinct, victory, balance. It's something like somebody had said something to Kaylee that made her uncomfortable, or an outcome, somebody, or manifesting the road that leads to an outcome. Am I blaming Adam? No, but I am saying that Adam knows something. Adam knows. Whatever was said to Adam is connected to these murders in some way. It is. Is it Adam's fault? No. Is Adam maybe scared to come forward because he feels like it's his fault? Maybe. Should Adam come forward anyway? Yes, because Adam knows something important to this case that will unlock and lead in the direction of who did this. I'm telling you. Don't harass Adam. There was flip in this person, either that person or the person. So looking at it from the perspective of the information that was given to Adam, that information traveled from Adam to someone else, and either that someone passed the information to someone else, or it's that person that we're talking about, but they went from not manic to manic, like that, upon receipt, that like this information was too much for their psyche to handle. I need to go through dinner. That he threw the weapon in the water, but kept a piece of his main target either permanently with him in the way I mentioned in one of my previous videos, which I'm not going to say again, or could have buried it or kept it somewhere. But there's something that has been kept in some way. And there's also something that's in the water. That's a big part of this case, and that is the knife. So these cards are what they would tell us in reference to this information that was passed along. Maddie's intention was to avoid some kind of disaster. I'll be right back. Okay, so, where was I? Maddie was trying to avoid some kind of disaster, so it kind of really lines up with previous readings where I said that she felt off about somebody. She felt nervous about the energy she was getting from somebody in relation to Kaylee. And she was trying to protect her and avoid anything bad happening. So I don't want to say, she had some kind of inkling that she needed to do something in order to protect her friend and herself. Maybe not herself at that time. Maybe she was thinking that. It was more Kaylee, but two peas in a pod. So kind of both. And then Maddie. The Hierophant in reverse. Yeah, she was trying to bring about the change that she felt needed to happen in like an unconventional way. She believed that something was wrong or something was off, and she was trying. Maybe she had said to Kaylee, like, you need to say something, or you need to do something, or this or that, or this or that. And Kaylee, for whatever reason, wasn't comfortable doing it or didn't want to do it yet. They could have been waiting for the right time. But hearing like, F it, I'm just going to do it. Or F it, I'm just going to say it. F it, I got to say something. One of them. So I believe that they are looking into the role that drugs are playing in the environment and in the events possibly surrounding it. In the background, the police and investigators are really looking into the killer being connected to the drug community. Okay, my question is, why did Brian do it? Queen of Wands reversed, Ace of Wands, Six of Wands. So the Queen of Wands would be wanting to prove that he can, wanting to put the knowledge that he has attained through schooling to use in some way. The Ace of Wands is about having the opportunity. So he saw the opportunity and he took it. The Six of Wands is about wanting to be in the public eye. What this is saying to me is he's wanted to do this for some time, and these girls were the piece of the puzzle that just happened to fall into the right place. And he wanted to test himself, use his knowledge and see if he could get away with it. So do I think it was targeted? Yes. But I don't think this idea formed because of the target. Like, I don't think it was like, oh, I want to kill this girl. I think it was, I want to do this in this way and get away with it. And these victims fell into the right slots that made it possible for him to do this. I'm gonna pull through. I'm keeping this very short because again, I'm gonna do another reading, but I just wanted to tell my brain to calm down before bed. We have the reversed Knight of Pentacles, reversed Ace of Cups. The reversed Ace of Cups is right under the upright Ace of Wands, so it's like sandwiched like that. So the Knight of Pentacles and the King of Swords under the Six of Wands. So we have the Queen of Pentacles up top with the Knight of Pentacles in reverse down the bottom. He wanted to make someone else feel the pain that he felt, or the rejection that he felt, or the loneliness that he felt, something along those lines. The Knight of Pentacles in reverse is about a gambler. So he took a gamble, he took a chance because he wanted to see if he could use his knowledge and I guess experience in the field to be able to get away with something like this. It's almost like he felt too smart for his own good. He felt like he had reached a plateau of learning. It's weird because it's almost like he wanted to do this and get away with it so that he could use that knowledge and also that like adrenaline to excel in his career in some way. We have the Ace of Cups in reverse, which is underneath of the Ace of Wands. So the Ace of Wands was about the opportunity, seeing the opportunity and taking it. So it wasn't, oh, I think I just want to kill someone. Or it wasn't, I think I just want to kill this girl. It was, I want to do this and get away with it. And he saw the opportunity with these victims. So while it was targeted, it didn't form because of the target, if that makes sense. The Ace of Cups in reverse is about repressed emotions, so turning your feelings off. He saw the opportunity and he was like, this is a time for me to let myself feel alive again. This is a time for me to expand my knowledge through firsthand experience, I guess you could say. And then we have the King of, the King of Swords in reverse, which in this instance really points to me like we have the right guy. This is the controlling, cold dictatorship energy. It's my way or the highway. It's, I don't care who I have to step on to get what I want. And that's essentially what he did here. With a card after I say this. I'm feeling like maybe he did try to hit on Kaylee. Maybe Maddie, I'm feeling like it's Kaylee. So that he could be in the position to be close enough to them to do this without risking having someone else around. Like, for example, if Kaylee or Maddie or both of them were to go back somewhere with him, then he could do it then. I don't know. Because then it'd be a lot easier for him to get caught. I'm feeling like there was some kind of rejection is what I'm saying. I don't know how it occurred exactly. I'll try to look into that more. The Empress in reverse. She wasn't willing to flow her emotions towards me. There was still some kind of rejection. So while there was still this sick desire in his mind to get this experience to benefit himself, there's also the element of it being like all the pieces falling into place that allowed this to happen. And I think there's also like that part of this is that they were chosen because there was some kind of rejection or desire for romance. I think that that's definitely still a factor here, just definitely not the main factor. It's just like a side dish, I guess you could say. Okay, so his energy before the murders. The Keeper of Whispers, the Mad Prophet, Curiosity, Madness, and Forbidden Knowledge. Holy shit. And he's holding a sword. Wow, you can see exactly 4 faces. 1 face, 2 face, 3 face, 4 face. I know these are also the same bodies, but the faces aren't there. You can only see 4 faces. And then this guy holding a sword, and it says Curiosity, Madness, and Forbidden Knowledge. He wanted that. That's what it was, forbidden knowledge. He wanted the first-hand experience of being able to commit something and get away with it so he could then turn around and use that in whatever way he wanted to in his professional life, to be able to make himself more successful than everybody else. In his mind, it's like, I'm going to pull a card after I say this. In his mind, it's like there's another level of consciousness that can only be unlocked by doing, by experience. And he thought that he was unlocking that and going to be able to benefit himself. Maybe even he thought he was benefiting others. I don't know. I don't think he really cares about that. But he thought he was going to be able to make himself proud because he was unlocking this higher level of consciousness through the act of gaining wisdom through doing and getting away with it. Let's see what we get about that. Got 2. 9 of Wands in reverse is about struggle, and the Tower in reverse is about fear of change. Yeah, there's some form of a lack of emotional connection with someone that he desired to have an emotional connection with from childhood. On his own. It was like his own prized possession would be doing this and getting away with it. But there's also an element of him looking ahead, knowing that there's a potential that he can get caught, even though he thought, I'm too smart, they're not gonna be able to catch me. But there was still thoughts in his mind about, okay, but what happens if they do? This is gonna be a case like you've never seen before when it goes to court. He's gonna pull some weird-ish. I don't know what it's gonna be, but he's gonna pull something out of a hat that's gonna, hold on. So to answer the question, do I think he had help? Not in the actual murders, I don't. I think there may be some people who were around him afterward. So this is like a woman that's like on the outskirts of a castle wall. So it's kind of like the opposite of him going in, and then under the moon, secrets, vigilance. So crossed his T's, dotted his I's. That's why law enforcement had to be very sure, because they knew going into it, okay, if we're looking at this guy and he's a criminal justice major or whatever it is, something in criminal major, he's going to be very mindful about every step he takes and making sure to take action steps that are going to prevent us from being able to get a solid case. So they knew that looking ahead, so they also had to be very vigilant about what they were doing, making sure that there wasn't any way that he could use some kind of loophole that he would know about through his knowledge of the criminal justice system. His energy now, like right now, sitting in his cell, what's his energy? So 2 came out, and I'm going to read both. Awan, Master of the Great Hunt. Authority, the hunt, natural balance. It's a guy with a sword in the face. I'm going to start with Xana. The Hermit in reverse. He was lonely. He was isolated. Two of Pentacles. He made a choice. He was weighing his options for quite an extended period of time. This wasn't a decision that he made overnight. Six of Cups reversed. I'm telling you, there's something from his childhood that is going to play a part here. It might not come out immediately, but it's going to come out. And also, he has a one-track mindset. Once he focuses on something, he's unable to think about anything else. Like a magnet getting completely stuck to another magnet that like you have to really force them apart. That's how he became with this idea. The Hermit in reverse is also about rejection. And I just posted something on the community page right before I came on here. And I said that I feel like the connection with Hannah was him researching the case, and that's how he came across the girls. And I feel like it was a mix of rejection and then telling Adam details about the stalker, which made him feel like he potentially had to act right away. And that's the picture this is painting for me, because we have the rejection with the Hermit, the antisocial with the Hermit in reverse, that the withdrawal that people are saying that Brian was experiencing during and after high school. And then we have the Two of Pentacles, which is like he made a choice. He made a choice to bring what he was thinking into reality because he is unable to get over something from the past. This is rooting from something in his past. He's unable to forgive something from his past, and it's manifested as this sick desire to either gain like a negative notoriety, but a very vast one, or to try and get away with this. I don't know. I think either way, he feels like he's going to win, is essentially what I'm seeing here. The Seven of Pentacles, yeah. He was patient about this. He planted seeds. He didn't just wake up one day and see the right situation and jump on it. This is something that he was planning, which these details are coming out slowly, but Xana is definitely confirming this, that there's a tie to something in his past that has manifested into a very sick mindset. And that's not anything that anyone particularly did purposely, but it could just be a lack of connection that deeply rooted and stemmed into other issues. It could be a vast number of things, but essentially this was not just an overnight, oh, I'm going to do this now. This was planned. This was stemming from a desire that he's had for a long time. And there is some kind of rejection involved in this. Again, I don't think rejection is the main culprit. I think that rejection is like when you have a full glass of water and you shake it and it tumbles over. The rejection was the shaking of the water. It was going to spill anyway. It was at the top. It was about to boil over, but it got shaken by that rejection. And that's why it boiled over when it did, in the way it did. So I said, hold on. That was Xana. Now I want Maddie. The Fool in reverse. Eight of Cups in reverse. He made a mistake somewhere. Whatever his plan is that he thinks is going to get him out of this, there's a mistake in that plan. Eight of Swords reversed. I wonder if it's the DNA. He crossed all of his T's and dotted all of his I's, but didn't expect there to be DNA left behind. So I wonder if that implies that there was some kind of struggle that led to his DNA being left behind. Especially if his original target was one or two of those girls and he wasn't expecting Ethan and Xana, maybe he wasn't expecting someone to fight back in a way that could injure him. And that's kind of the loose piece of the puzzle here that is making the rest of his puzzle fall apart, because that piece no longer fits, because there was DNA left behind, which he wasn't expecting to happen if he only had to handle these two girls. But Ethan was there and caused some kind of problem that he wasn't expecting. Yeah, the Fool, 8 of Cups in reverse. Oh, 8 of Cups in reverse is like returning home. So he wasn't expecting Ethan and Xana to be there, returning home. Or awake, I don't know. Maybe he didn't know about that. I'm pretty sure he knew that they were there, or knew that they could potentially be there. He just wasn't expecting to run into them. Yeah, because that's also a fear of change. So that's like his plans, his original plans changed. And then the 8 of Swords in reverse is about surrender. So I really do feel like there's a piece of his plan that didn't fall into place, and I truly think it's that he wasn't expecting there to be a substantial fight back, and I think that that's due to Ethan waking up or being there when he didn't expect him to. 9 of Pentacles. Yeah, it wasn't part of his plan. 9 of Pentacles is saying to me that he would have been successful in getting away with this if his DNA was not left at the crime scene, because that's the only piece of, he thinks that that's the only piece that they're going to be able to like solidly connect, and that was not expected to happen. He took some kind of precaution so that he would not leave DNA, and I know that we know that because he's very smart, but I almost feel like he had like some kind of like protective layer on, like he was very planned, he was very ready for this. Like, it's almost like he had some kind of like, I don't know if they make like a slice proof clothing, or like a layer of like, he had something that he thought that there was no way he was getting caught. Because 9 Pentacles is success. Then we have the 8 of Swords reverse, which is about freedom. And then the 8 of Cups reverse, which is not learning a lesson, or like something changed from the original plan, something that he was avoiding. And then the Fool in reverse is about being unprepared. He wasn't prepared for DNA to be left, because that was the only thing that could tie him back. And he didn't even realize it could tie him back because he wasn't in the system. I don't know if he wasn't considering that they could get DNA this way. I'm sure it crossed his mind because he's very intelligent. But I really think that he took some kind of precaution, that he was like, there's no way DNA is going to be left at the scene. And then he encountered Ethan and got some kind of wound that left DNA at the scene. That hyped him up and got him more mad, which is why everything was as violent as it was, because he knew that his DNA was then there and there was nothing he could do about it. While still being in the area committing more crimes. He wanted to see the impact of it. He wanted to see the impact of it. His ideal would have been, because we had the 9 of Cups, which is like wishes coming true, emotional fulfillment. He wanted to see firsthand how a crime that he committed could change the environment, or like the way things were done. I feel like, and I'll pull a card to confirm, I feel like ideally for Brian, he would have liked to have gotten that job, or at least gotten his foot in the door where the job was starting to process. That's what he was waiting for. He ran out of time because Kaylee was leaving. His ideal would have been to get like the processing started, or just like get started in the job. I don't know, whatever. But get in with the police, commit this crime, get away with it, because he thought he was so smart, and then be in the police inner circle as he sees how this crime is impacting what is done. It's not that he wanted to study the criminal's mind so that he could understand the whole buildup of the processes from the standpoint of the police and investigators. So like, he wanted to commit a crime. He wanted to get in with the police, commit a crime, and then already be in with the police so he could see how that crime that he got away with impacts the police force and detectives, so that he would know what other crimes he could get away with and how he could do that. This was a long-term game for him. A very long-term game for him. Let me pull a card. Eight of Swords reverse, freedom. It's like the woman on the image is blindfolded and there's a bunch of swords around her, but if she took the blindfolds off, she would realize she could just walk away. This is something that it's like Brian wanted to put himself in a position where he knew that there was no way they could convict him, or that there's no way that he could get caught, so that he could long-term keep doing this. I feel like that's going to make a little bit more sense later. Yeah, because in the previous readings, I was saying that I felt as though Adam wasn't maliciously passing on, like Maddie tells Adam something that is like heavy topic, right? Something that she was being very strategic to make sure that she safely said and didn't just blurt out. Got a little too drunk, asked Adam, I believe, to set up a meeting between Hierophant in reverse, like challenging personal beliefs. The Hierophant in reverse is also like, okay, that strategy wasn't working. Let's get a new strategy. Oh boy. Why does this make me feel like the police know who the link is? That's what I'm getting here. I'm getting that Adam was setting up some kind of meeting for the girls to talk to someone, and then we have text messages between the girls, and police have either a suspect or someone they feel is sitting on information. And that was, I said that on 11/28. Brian was arrested on 11/30, so like a month later. If they got that information about a potential meetup and put it together, they would have had a month to trace that back to oh boy. I want to look something up. Hold on a second. So, okay, so on 11/28, I said the police have a suspect or someone they feel is sitting on information, and there's something about text messages between the girls when they were out that night. Then we got the link, clouded judgment, or searching for answers. And then the Hierophant is like a new method of doing something. I just looked it up and it says that, well, like the earliest link I could find for the video where it says, what did you tell Adam? I told Adam everything, that video. It looks like that was released around 12/19. And then Brian was arrested on the 30th. I almost feel like, and I don't want to say too much here. I almost feel like it's possible they did get something from Adam. Or maybe off of his phone or something. I'm going to pull a card to confirm, but I almost feel like that video was strategically released at that specific time. And I believe that it's because they got some kind of information, traced that information back to the link, skipped over that, and just traced it all the way around to Brian. So like, Adam, they got something from Adam, traced that information, got to like the link's role in it, but didn't do anything, went around the link and just got to who actually committed the crime. Especially with the Hierophant in reverse, it's like an unconventional way of doing something, and it's like having, I have to sneeze again. My allergies are like not, hold on. Oh, excuse me. My allergies today, not my friend. Crap, what was I saying? So it's like they traced back in order to find the suspect. They went through the link, but like left her alone. It's like that's how they found who did it. But like they didn't, they like discovered this trail that led to this person, and then that person led to the person they had proof that did it, but they ignored that person was a role in it. I have to blow my nose. Be right back. Okay.